Hey there, everyone. Welcome back to the Doing What Matters podcast. I'm your host, Teresa McCloy, and I am excited to be back with you again this week to have more conversation about how we do what really matters and live from rest, not rush. Now, we are in that kind of crazy in-between week, as I call it, between Christmas and New Year's. As I'm recording this episode, we're about 4 or 5 days after Christmas. Here at my house, we just had our last Christmas celebration with some of our family from out of town last evening, and we've kind of wrapped up that part. And it's kind of that awkward time between, gosh, do we dive right back into work, or are we supposed to take some time off? What is this week supposed to look like? And for me, every year it's different. Some years I feel super productive and I want to dive right in and get the next year all set up. And some years I'm really reflective and I need some downtime. And this year I feel like I'm more in that space where I need a little bit of reflection and a little bit of downtime. And there's 4 questions that over the last several years I've leaned into and really looked at and reflected on before I try to get the next 90 days set up and really dive into what do I want to accomplish personally and in my business. And I start walking through the real life process that I wrote about in my book. So I want to share with you today these 4 questions. But before I dive into that conversation, I want to invite you especially to come and join a new community that we're launching in about 3 to 4 weeks here in January of 2024. It's an absolutely free community, and we want you to be one of the first to know. Whether you've been on our mailing list and you've been a part of things that we've done here at the Real Life Process for a really long time, I want you to know about this free community and be one of the first. So all you have to do to get notification when this launches is go to thereallifeprocess.com/join and fill in your email, fill in your name and your email, and you'll be one of the first to be notified of this brand new platform that we're creating that will have all kinds of content for you, from business to life to faith, all kinds of things that you can dive into. We'll be bringing content each and every week from not only myself, but those who serve with me on the Real Life Process team. So I can't wait to see you there in 2024. Remember, thereallifeprocess.com/join to be a part of that new community that we're forming in just a few weeks. Now let's get to our conversation about these 4 questions that you might reflect on as you move into 2024. So, as I said, this week sometimes brings this awkward, what should I be doing this week? But one of the things that I always think is important as you come into a new season, especially a brand new year, is to really do some reflecting back. And so these 4 questions are one of the ways that I do it. You might grab a piece of paper if you're listening in your home. If you're driving, just think, and maybe you can jot some things down in your journal later on. But I really, really want to bring these questions to you. So here's the very first one. What are you most proud of? If you were to look back over this past year and do some reflection, what are some things that you're most proud of? Now, probably as I say that, there is something that automatically pops into your mind that you think, wow, in 2023, this is the thing that I'm the most proud of. It doesn't have to be something business related. Maybe it's something that you formed a new habit around, or a new routine or behavior that you've brought in. It has now become a rhythm in your life. Maybe it's that you're getting up a half an hour earlier, or it's something small. Maybe it is something really big. Maybe you hit a goal of revenue in the business that you have. Maybe you added people to your team or you accomplished a certain thing. But if I was to ask you, what are you most proud of? What would you share? I know for me, it would be two things. One personal, and that is just being able to spend more time with family. With the birth of our new grandson, he's almost 7 months old now. Being able to have the time in my calendar and this space to spend time with him is huge for me. The other thing I'm super proud of is the growth of our business and just what we've been able to do as we've expanded the services that we offer and the ways that we're serving people to really dive in as entrepreneurs and business owners and faith and community and certification and all the things that we're doing. That's just hugely important to me. So I encourage you to capture some things that you are most proud of as you think back over the last 12 months. The second question is a little bit more difficult to answer sometimes, and that is, what are you tolerating? What are you tolerating right now that you just continue to do the same pattern of behavior and you haven't taken the time to break the cycle of, I continue to tolerate this? And what I mean by that is, are you tolerating the way someone's treating you? Are you tolerating the way that you're continue to do the same habit over and over when you know it's not the best way for you to practice something, either personally or professionally? For me, one of the things, and I'll say more about this in some upcoming episodes in the next year, but one of the things I've been tolerating for over a year now is actually my health and taking care of myself properly. And I've recently made some steps here in the last quarter of 2023 to begin to take action on that. But I have tolerated my health being out of whack for way too long. And I can't wait to share with you some insights of some things that I've discovered. It's one of those places for me of what I call the three centers of intelligence: the head, the heart, and the body. I often talk about those three centers through the tool of the Enneagram, and it's one of the tools that I absolutely love. And I have done so much work over the past several years, 10 years or more, on my mind and on my emotions. But the one place that I have tolerated for way too long is my body, and how I have taken care of it and how I have abused it in through food, through lack of exercise, through all kinds of things. And it has really caught up with me. And in 2024, it is something that has to be something that I'm not tolerating anymore and that I'm really giving attention to. So when I say, what are you tolerating? I imagine there is something that immediately comes to mind that you say, wow, I cannot tolerate that anymore. How do I want that to look different in 2024? The next thing, the next question is, what are the best parts of your week? When you think through a week that is a typical week that feels like a normal week for you, week in and week out through 2023, what were the best parts of your week? What were the parts that you enjoyed the most? Many of us have a routine to our week, whether it's through the job that we have and how we go to work at the same time, come home at the same time. We do the same things on certain days. And there are parts of your week that many times you look forward to, and then there are other parts that you don't look forward to as much. So when I ask that question of, what are the best parts of your week? I want you to reflect on, in this past year, what have you enjoyed the most during your week? For me, it's very easy for me to identify that Wednesdays are my favorite day of the week. Wednesdays are the day that I get to hang out with our network community of real life process coaches. We have our weekly call on Wednesday mornings, and they are my community. They are my people. And I actually absolutely love that short hour that we get to spend together on Wednesdays. It's also a time that I get to see my team that works at the Real Life Process with me. And so, anytime, Wednesday being one of them, but anytime I can be in community with the clients that we serve, with the people that we're pouring into their lives, that's a special time in the week for me. Now, I remember when I was reflecting on this question last year at the end of 2022. And I remember leaning in and saying, you know what I love is weekends. And I still love my weekends. I love that I've been able to keep that pattern and rhythm and routine in of Saturdays being a day of renewal with nothing on the calendar. Uh, Very often do I ever have an appointment on Saturdays that I'm scheduled to be somewhere or do something, and then Sunday really being a day of Sabbath rest for me. And so I really still value that part of my week. But one of the best parts of my week is when I get to be with people that we're serving. So I would ask you, what's the best part of your week? What do you love about a certain part of your week and you look forward to it each and every week? Then the last question I would like to ask you as you reflect back on 2023 is, what do you wish there was more of? What do you wish there was more of? What would make 2024, when you get to the end of next year, be a win for you because there was more of this, whatever this is, in your life? Now, I had to think on this one as I was reflecting, but what immediately popped into my mind was that I wanted more meaningful conversations with friends. I am in a season of life here in my early 60s where I am craving deep friendships and having more meaningful in person conversations with people. Now, I have a wonderful community of clients and friends online, but what I'm really craving is deep local connection with friends that I can be with in person. That would feel so complete and so good for me. So that's something I'm going to be aware of in 2024 is that's something I want more of. I want it for myself. I want it for myself and my husband together. And so that is something that I want more of. Let me walk back through all four of these questions and give you this place that you can reflect. They're simple questions, but yet they can give you so much insight as you go into 2024. So here's the first one. What are you the most proud of as you reflect back over this past year? What are you tolerating right now? What is the best part of your week? And what do you wish there was more of? Just taking those four questions, whatever comes to mind, writing down, jotting down some short answers to those before you dive into setting up your projects for the first 90 days of the year, before you dive into goal setting, if that's something you do, or vision casting, or creating a vision board. Just capture your thoughts around those four questions. Use those as a jumping off point to cast that vision as to what you wish there was more of, to do more of those things that are the best parts of your week, to get rid of or work on the things that you're tolerating, and to really capture what you are most proud of. I think this will give you some really good places to dive in before you get too far into 2024. And remember that we will be having more content like this over in this new free community that we're going to be offering. We're going to be having Facebook Live type discussions. We're going to be having blog posts you can read and podcasts and articles and resources for you. We're forming a brand new community, and we cannot wait for you to be a part of it. So make sure you go to thereallifeprocess.com/join to get notified as to when that new community launches in 2024. It'll just be a few weeks before we're diving in there. And I cannot wait. As I said, one of my favorite parts of my week is being with people just like you. And so I cannot wait to have a platform and a place that we're doing that on a more regular basis. But until then, remember that every ordinary day has an extraordinary moment. You just have to look for them. We'll be back next week with more here at the Doing What Matters podcast. I can't wait to see you then. Have a great week, everyone.